It's typhoon season in Japan, and since there's a typhoon coming towards Kyushu about to make landfall this weekend, I thought now would be the perfect time to teach you some important words and expressions used to talk about typhoons. This is the first video in a new series I'm calling Learning Relevant Japanese Through Real-World Experiences. In this video, I'll teach you some of the most common words and expressions you'll hear Japanese people use on the news or out in town to talk about typhoons. And then at the end of the video, I'll show you a clip of an announcement I heard from the city this morning. And I'm fairly confident that by the end of this training video, you'll be able to understand almost the entire message. Don't believe me? Give me 5 minutes of your time, and I'm sure I'll prove you wrong. Let's talk about some nouns, starting with the most important and today's topic, taifu. Taifu. Notice there's no N in taifu. If you look at the kanji, we have tai, which means pedestal or stand, and then we have hu, which is the wind. Hu can also be pronounced kaze, so you may have heard kaze before when talking about the wind. Now let's quickly cover a few other nouns you're commonly going to hear when talking about typhoons. First, ame. Ame, which is rain. Then kaze. Kaze, the wind. Next we have bohu. Bohu. Like I said before, hu or kaze mean the same thing and just use the same kanji. Next we have umi. Umi, the sea or ocean. Nami. Nami, waves. Shio. Shio, the tide. Not to be mistaken with shio, which is also salt. It's just a homonym. And last, a couple of nouns related to people and safety. We have onzen. Onzen, which means safety. And taisaku. Taisaku, which is a strategy against something. So taisaku would be like, how would you overcome something? What's your strategy to overcome? I'm going to give you two more miscellaneous nouns, which are a little trickier, but they're important. And they are o-ame. O-ame, which means lots of rain or heavy rain. And then we have hayame. Hayame, which is a word that was formed from the word hayai, which means fast or early. Hayame means early on. So in talking about typhoons, it's important to have your preparation done early on. Hayame. Next, I'm going to talk about adjectives. Today's adjectives are all going to be e-adjectives. That's the type of adjective which in the dictionary, the last character in the word is e, the hiragana e. Okay? So here we go. The first is oki. Oki, which means large, like when talking about the scale of the storm. Then we have takai. Takai, which is tall or high, as we might talk about with waves or the tide. Next we have tsuyoi. Tsuyoi. Tsuyoi means strong, and today will be used to talk about strong winds. Tsuyoi. Last, some emotional words we can use to describe the storm. Abunai. Abunai, which means dangerous. And lastly, kowai. Kowai. That means scary. And be careful not to mix that up with kawaii, which means cute, like my nekos. Today, I'm only going to teach you 4 verbs. Now, most of these are verbs you don't hear very often, so try to stick with me and don't get overwhelmed. Here they are. Sekkin suru. Sekkin suru. Sekkin is a noun meaning an approach. So sekkin suru makes it a verb meaning to approach. For beginner students, the word kuru, which means to come, could be used in place of sekkin suru. Taifu ga kuru. Taifu ga sekkin suru. The typhoon approaches or the typhoon is coming. Then we have sonaeru. Sonaeru, which is used to equip or equip in preparation for. So you may need to prepare your home or your car to stand up to the winds. Sonaeru. Then we have mamoru. Mamoru, to protect. During a typhoon, no doubt you'll need to protect your property, but you'll also may need to protect your pets or your children who, don't know what to do during a typhoon. Mamoru. And then last but not least, we have naru. Naru, which is to become, and would be used in this scenario to talk about something becoming dangerous or something becoming a situation. That's a lot of words so far, so I'm going to give you just one adverb today, and that's hijou ni. Hijou ni, which means extremely or exceedingly. You may have also heard the word totemo, which does the same thing. When put before an adjective like tsuyoi, hijou ni tsuyoi means very strong or extremely strong. Just like totemo kowai means extremely or very scary. Now lastly, I want to teach you just a few phrases. These are some words put together that have a set meaning, so they're important to know. First we have mi no anzen. Mi no anzen, which is personal safety. You might remember from anzen we learned before, it just means safety. So mi no anzen, personal safety. Next we have osore ga aru. Osore ga aru, which means it's inevitable or likely to occur, and it's usually about something that's negative. Osore ga aru, like there's an impending storm that's likely to hit here. Osore ga aru. And last, a phrase you probably already know, onegai shimasu. Onegai shimasu, which is said at the end of a request or asking somebody to do something for you. So in this case, you're going to hear the city announcement asking for the citizens here to do something, so they'll use onegai shimasu. I don't think I'd be a good Japanese teacher unless I gave you some grammar, so here's just a little grammar for you today. You may already know that in Japanese, adjectives precede the nouns that they modify. So for example, a tall wave in Japanese would be takai nami. Takai nami, tall wave or high wave. But some words in combinations are used so often that they become compound words. And in Japanese, you can do this with some e adjectives by simply dropping the e, the final hiragana in that adjective, and putting it in front of a noun. For example, takanami. Takanami. Notice how it was takai nami, but it's such a common expression that it's become takanami or tall waves. It also works with takashio, or a high tide. Did you know that even though typhoons are given names in international news, in Japan they refer to them by number? So it'll look like this. Taifu, some number, go. And the next number is 10, so it's Taifu ju go. Taifu ju go. Next, I'm going to show you a video I took this morning of an announcement broadcast here in Sasebo from the city office. It's an uncut video, and it's said really slowly, so it's going to give you a chance to hear the words that we just covered and let those set in. So what I'm going to do is show the announcement, and in the gap between words, then I'll put up subtitles. So listen without looking at the subtitles and see if you recognize those words we just talked about, and then read them. And if you need more practice, you can always go back to the beginning of the video and watch it a couple of times. 台風10号が接近しています。大雨や暴風、高波、高潮となる恐れがあります。台風に備え、身の安全を守るため、早めの安全対策をお願いします。How did it go? Did you understand everything on the first time? Or did you have to give it a second or third listen? I want to know how long it took and if this is an effective way for you to learn Japanese. Because if it is, I'm going to keep making more and more videos just like this with real, raw Japanese that you can use to build more listening comprehension and hopefully then be able to talk and answer questions about how you feel about topics like typhoons. Hope this video helped, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching to the end of this video, but guess what? Our relationship doesn't have to end here. Why not subscribe to my channel by clicking over here, or like me on Facebook at White Rice Sensei, where each week I post lots of new things like free Japanese lessons and ideas and tips on how to make your life in Japan much more enjoyable. Hope to see you again soon, and ja ne!